Hi, I'm Barry Sahajian. This video is reading and playing 16th note rhythms, especially for bass, but other instrument as well. So first of all, we have to do the mathematical breakdown. We'll be in 4/4 time to make things simple. So if you have 4 beats and 16th notes are 4 notes per beat, that would be 16 notes in 4/4 time for one measure. Now if you take an eighth note equals 2 16th notes. If you have 8 eighth notes in a measure and you break that down to 16th notes, you'll have 2 per eighth note. And once again, it's 16 notes. So having said that, you really have to hear groups of 16th notes for each beat. For instance, what we do next is we vocalize the rhythms. We vocalize them using the syllable DA. Now, the 4 groups of 16th notes, each one for each beat, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're going to accent first beat of each group. So it will sound like this. Da 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 da. You also have to count in your mind 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. This will get you to hear it perfectly and will get you ready to use formal counting, which would be 1 E and A for 16th notes. And you will use these elements and it will help you get started and you will get better results if you do this. One of the difficulties working with 16th notes is the sheer amount of combinations that can be had with 16 notes. But if you think about it, 16th notes are just half of an eighth note. So many times you'll find things written out with eighth notes because it's simpler to digest. And it would be the same line if you adjusted the tempo. Another difficulty students have is if you're playing with 16th note, very few lines, especially in today's music, are just 16th notes. You will also have ties, dotted notes, and rests. So you put these things all together and you still have to count for the space of time each of them occupy. So this adds to the difficulty of learning 16th notes, in all music for that matter. So anyway, I have an example I have written out. It is very complicated and it has all these elements, the dots and the rests and the ties. And we'll take a look at it and you'll see right away it's confusing. So the idea of this tutorial is to make it less confusing to understand it. And we're going to have to break down each one of these elements. Okay, let's take a look at this complex example. First off, I have to show you that these are 16th note triplets. We haven't covered those yet, but I'll tell you this. When we do, it requires a different type of counting. Now, here we have a 16th note rest and a 16th note tie here and another right here. Now, over here is your dotted note. This happens to be a dotted eighth note. Now the dotted eighth note equals 3 16th notes. So this note rings for the duration of 3 16th notes. These are just a few of the things that you might encounter when you're reading and studying 16th notes, or hearing them, or trying to identify them. And we have to go through them little by little, each of them, and I'm going to come up with some examples that you can play and study and learn these things bit by bit. But it can't be all learned in a single video. I just want to show you what's going to happen in the upcoming videos. I plan on doing a few of these so we can cover everything that needs to be covered to be proficient in reading and understanding and hearing 16th notes. Okay, now that I've given you a foundation of what you need to know basically to start to understand 16th notes and how to count them and what you might encounter, let's get started right from the beginning with the simple formal way of counting 16th notes. That would be using 1 E and A, those 4 syllables. Sometimes you will see, or most of the time actually, you will see the and notated as a plus. So you have to understand, I'd like you to see both of them because you're going to be speaking with an A-N And you need to know that a plus means a N right up front. So 1 E-N-I, 1 E-N-I. That's what you need to learn to do. You have to be comfortable with this because you will be counting them faster at some times. And the reason why you use these syllables is to get in your mind how the structure of the rhythm, if you could practice that, 1 E-N-I, 1 E-N-I. And then we take it a step further and we go through the 4 beats. 1 E-N-I, 2 E-N-I, 3 E-N-I, 4 E-N-I. This is how 16th notes are counted. So we're gonna proceed from here. But before we do, I'd like to ask that you subscribe if you already haven't, like, comment, and hit the bell to be notified of all the new videos coming. Okay, I have 4 examples coming at you, and I want to give you the instructions how I'd like this done. And there are a couple of variations, even though it is only practice. And it's a sort of a progression to make it sink into your mind and really understand and hear the rhythm. So what we're going to do is, first off, we have a 4-beat intro, which is played on a drum kit with a hi-hat, so it'll be and now it goes into your example. Now that's when you begin to use syllables. So look at the example, and we have to, first of all, we have to look at this example and examine it and see what it's all about, because you can't just jump into it and look at it and start playing it. You have to plan and see where the beats are and then play it. So we look at this. 1 E-N-I, 2 E-N-I, all rests. 3 E-N-I. So you have a note on the first beat, and then we have a note on the ah of the first beat. 1 E-N-I. First beat. 1 E-N-I. On the first beat you have a note. On the ah of the first beat you have a note. That's the way you would describe this. On the 1 and the ah of 16th note. See? So now we're looking at the second beat. It's all rests. So what do you do with that? Well, at this point, you just count 2 E-N-I, because you want to fill that space in so you won't get lost. And later, as you learn more, you can actually skip that if you can count the beats in your head, or transfer it to 8th notes just to keep your time so you can come in on the 3rd beat on time. So 2 E-N-I. And then the 3rd beat is the same as the first beat. On beat 3, we will call 3. You have a note on beat 3, and you have a note on the ah of 3. So it would be 3 E-N-I or 3 E-N-I, accented syllables. Okay? 4th beat, once again, all rests. So you would count that just to keep your place. 4 E-N-I. So let's give this a live try. Remember, we have a count in with the drums. Then it goes right into the example. How I'd like this to be done is first syllableize it. The second way we're going to approach this is to clap and use syllables. This way you're establishing the rhythm and you're absorbing it in your mind. So that will be the second way. The third way will be just to clap. On the next 3 examples, I won't be clapping or singing the syllables. I'm going to leave that up to you. However, there's going to be 2 recordings. The first recording will have bass. The rhythm will be played with a bass, so you'll be able to hear it. And on the second example, it will be just the drums, so you have to figure out how to place the syllables and clap as well. And good luck, and thanks for you stopping by. If anyone has any questions, feel free to post the questions on my comment section, and I'll get to them. Thanks for stopping by.